take every idea and try to write every single detail about that idea. If it is a video, I would develop a script where I would write what happens from scene to scene. Welcome back. My name is Daryl and you're watching GoBeyondDesign, the only place where you get to know all the agency level concepts, workflows and design secrets that no one is telling you about. First part of the video, where we've covered how and why do we need to discover what the client needs, what the client wants, what the client desires, and how we will be able to sell him a specific idea by playing to the emotion. Now let me give you a few examples of the problem that I needed to come up with solutions for. My first example would be a studio apartment. Now a studio apartment is an apartment which is not really big. It is not really ideal for a full family. It is not really ideal for somebody who's looking for a second or third home. But what we came up with is that there are so many young professionals who are just looking to buy their first home. They're just looking to buy that independence that they were never able to get in their parents' houses. They were never able to get that independence in a rented apartment. They are looking to get an independent house, but which is easy on their pocket. The EMIs cannot be sky highs. Their salaries are not that great, but they can still afford a studio apartment. So we came up with a few ideas on how we can sell studio apartments to young professionals, to younger generation of people who want the independence. I'll give you a few examples of the taglines, and with that you will be able to understand how we can represent those taglines with imagery. My first example would be YOLO. You only live once. So the visual representation would be a couple of young professionals just chilling out on a Saturday evening together in their own apartment. They don't have to worry about anything. They can be as loud as they want. They can be as free as they want. So this is the imagery we associated, and the tagline being YOLO, you live only once. And there it comes, the studio apartment that we are selling them. The second way that we represented this idea was with the tagline, My Space, My Life. This was represented through images of one young professional or a small family of two or a couple living independently in their houses, having all the facility they can hope for, and not having to pay the rent to the landlord, or not having to quiet down when they're having fun, or not having to pay the monthly rent of the landlord, and they were happy in their small studio apartment. And this is the imagery that we came up with. The third idea to this specific studio apartment was, we came up with a series of communication which said that freedom from rented living, freedom from landlords, freedom from all your worries. So the way we thought we would represent this idea would be a young professional trying to have some peace in his rented apartment, holding his head in his hand, and with think bubbles around his head of dog barking, of noisy neighborhood, of the landlord ringing his bell, and other displeasing things which one has to endure while living in a rented apartment. And there we have it, the tagline, welcome to the evolution of worry-free living. So this is how you see we develop several ideas from the same requirement. So I'll give you another example of a 2 BHK apartment that we were selling in an outskirt. Now of course the connectivity wasn't as great, the amenities around it wasn't as great, but then how would we be able to sell it? who would we be able to sell it to? I'll give you a few ideas what we came up with. We knew that the person who would really buy this would be budget centric, would want a property which would not be very expensive. At the same time, that person would want to move away from the crowded neighborhoods. So the ideas we came up with were the following. So the first idea was of going congestion free. So giving you the idea of a billboard. A billboard has a drone shot, and the drone shot is looking down from above, and it is showing a green landscape and one clear road with just a few cars. And there we have it. Welcome to congestion free living, 2 BHK apartment and so at so and so place. How cool is that? The other idea which we came up with was a red light post, but in this all the 3 lights were green, which means welcome to congestion free living. Welcome to the 2 BHK apartments at so and so place. Another idea that we did for this example was a frame looking at the rear view mirror of a car which has lots of traffic jam, a row of entire traffic jam, but the road ahead is not congested, wide and empty. And there we have it. Welcome to congestion free living. When you come to this 2 BHK apartment at this location, you leave the congestion behind at your rear view mirror. How cool is that? My third and final example would be for a real estate company. When we were thinking of posing a real estate company is a consultancy who can be trusted and a company which is there for its clients at every step of the way. I'll share with you a few ideas that we came up with, some imageries that we came up with which we thought would help us represent that idea through to our clients in a way which could resonate with them. The first idea was stepping stones on a river or a small pond leading to a nice small home. The idea was stepping stones to success or stepping stones to a fulfilled living, and those stepping stones would have the services which the real estate company was offering. How cool is that? The other idea was to have a man who's blindfolded but he is smiling with the tagline, when you come to us, you come to the experts. And when you come to the experts, of course, it doesn't matter what you are, who you are trusting that expert blindfolded. And this is how that idea came through. The third idea for this specific example was somebody trying to actually puzzle in together a home, an exterior or an interior of a home, and that is when this message arrives. We help you put the home puzzle together, which basically means that we get everything together. It's like a big puzzle when you go out to get your home for the first time, but we can make sense of it out of it. We can make your home buying experience come together by representing puzzles coming together to form a home, and we helping you to do that. How cool is that? So with these, we round up the examples of how you can basically ideate or visually represent an idea that would resonate with your audience. Now moving on to the next point, where we talk about putting the rubber to the road, actually developing those artworks that we've been ideating about. So the first thing I would do is that to take out a Word file and then to detail out, flesh out all the ideas that I have in that Word file. Try to take every idea and try to write every single detail about that idea. If it is a video, I would develop a script where I would write what happens from scene to scene. If I was to develop a series of communication, I would tell on every specific series of communication what exact frame, what artworks, what layouting, or how those things will be representing from artwork 1 to the artwork 10. If we are developing just one artwork, I will be describing that entire artwork on how visually that thing should be, what are the kind of images that I should be using, what are the kind of things like fonts, colors, the kind of style that I will be using to develop that artwork. Now, more often than not, I don't really go ahead and now develop that artwork myself. I used to do that, but I don't right now. I hand over that brief to my team and they develop the artwork. So now it is very essential for me to actually detail out all those specific ideas to the very last detail, because I know what's there in my mind, but my team would not know. They would have a discussion with me, but still things which are detailed out are easy to refer to at any point of time, if I am there or if I am not there. Also, it would be ideal if you have to show this to a stakeholder or to a client before you even develop a concept or a mock-up of this idea. So you see how important detailing out these ideas are on a Word file. And this is the first thing I start off with. Once I've detailed out all my ideas, I pick up 3 out of those ideas which I like are the very best. Of course, we do brainstorm this together sometimes. I brainstorm this with my team and then try to find out what the common consensus is. What do most people like in that idea? So we choose 3 of them and then we do a sketch, do a rough mock-up of that. And once that is set, once the frame is set, we know how the camera angle is going to be. We know what objects or what people or what things or what fonts are going to be there. We then move from doing that on a rough sheet of paper or sketching digitally to the software which we will actually be doing it in. My suggestion to you would be something that we do a very, very rough mock-up of a visual representation of the idea in Photoshop. So it doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have to be spot on. It doesn't have to be the final thing. It can be very rough. It could only be objects and images and elements and typography and layouts in place. So just that we can identify if this idea can work out this way or not. It doesn't have to be detailed out. It has to be very rough. But of course, it's going to be much more visually appealing than a sketch. So this is why we do a digital mock-up sometimes, most of the times in fact, after doing a rough sketch. But then before you move to actually finalizing that artwork, you have to think about one thing, which is that one campaign idea that you are going to look at. We don't have enough time to finalize all these campaign ideas. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to take a huge team to do that. But we can definitely zero down on that one campaign idea that we will go forward with. Of course, you have to take approvals of the stakeholders, of your superiors and seniors, whoever is accountable for this campaign. If you are accountable to this campaign, then of course it's going to be very easy for you. You have to stick with one campaign. This is also pertinent to a series of communication. For example, if you are taking out a pre-teaser, teaser, then revealing the product or the service, and then you go ahead and detail out those products and services. So you have, in this case also, you have to pick one campaign idea. In a place where you can pick up multiple ideas is at a place where just one artwork or one design has to be made. So you can have a maximum of 3 ideas communicating the same problem and the solution to it in 3 different ways. This can be done on a very small campaign which has just one artwork. Ideal for digital campaigns. Also, do not forget to give your due diligence to the publishing platforms. Your artwork could be a video, your artwork could go on print, they could go on digital ads on social media, or there could be a campaign into every single platform that we just spoke about. So keeping in mind, when we are finalizing an artwork of all these platforms that we're going to publish it in is extremely important, because there are resolutions, there are fonts, there are pixels, there are colors, and there are so many things which has a very different requirement from one to another. So keeping all of this in mind will just smoothen out the entire process, and you will not get to later on at the finalizing stages. After the final artworks have been made, it is time to review them. You first review them with your own team members in your creative team. You can take outside opinion also from content creator and from other creators. Once you think they are good enough or fit enough for them to be represented to the stakeholders or the clients, you do that. Getting feedback is very important, and it is also essential to getting your product, to getting your artwork to the final and finishing stages. One thing that is worth reminding you about again is that do bear in mind, while doing all this ideating process, mock-ups, finalizing and detailing, is you do not forget about your clients, you do not forget about your audience, you do not forget about their needs, their desire. You always have to reorient your artwork if it is deviating to playing to the emotions of your audience. If you deviate towards that, if you deviate from that, then your artwork is going to fall flat. You might have the best idea, you might have the best visual representation, but if it does not resonate with the feelings, the aspirations of your audience, it will fall flat. So this is something that I wanted to remind you about. If you think this video, this lecture will give value to your professional career, please comment and tell me how you will use this. Please tell me what are the steps you will take to implement these ideas. Please like and subscribe this channel. Share it with your friends. I want them to also benefit out of this. My name is Daryl. You're watching Go Beyond Design. See you until next time.